All right, guys, welcome back to the second part of the technical audit. So I'm not going to waste any more time. If you have not checked out the first part of the video, this part will not make sense. So please go back, watch the first part, and then once you've done with that, jump back to this one. So yeah, let's get started. We have already crawled the entire site, kind of figure out some of the stuff that it's going to show up as optimization opportunities. But we're working off from the get-go, so let's get started. So let's firstly do this. And what I want to do is basically identify only technical issues first, because when I'm doing the technical audit, usually you will be able to find on-page issues and like word count, thin pages, and things like that. But with regards to the technical audit, you really just want to find technical aspects, because then it will be very confusing, because you can really build out a lot of opportunities when it comes to like on page, even if you do connect like your Ahrefs to the crawl, then you'll be able to find which pages doesn't have links, and then you have to build out an off-page strategy. So I don't want to do all that. I just want to basically find out what are the technical things that I can do from this audit, right? So let's get started. So the first thing that I want to do, right, is I just want to make sure that all these are HTML. And let me just see this HTML. Yeah, and there's a total of 500 pages. And then let's go and take a look at this, 7 pages. So all these are HTML pages. This is fine. And a lot of these are 430. So let me open this up. Okay. So 30, sometimes I don't even know what the status code are. And this is how you do it. Also at the same time, when you go through like the whole status code, right? Sometimes you see stuff that you don't know. And the best way to understand what it is just to simply Google. Because with all the status code, for me personally, I don't remember all the status codes. Sometimes the common ones are really easy to remember. But if you see like status code like 430, I have no idea what this is. I'm just going to Google and see. Right? So this means to say that the server is refusing to process because too many HTTP. Yeah. So that means highly likely the page is accessible. Yeah, the page is accessible. It's just that when during the crawl, the crawler is not able to, get the pages, but all these pages are still accessible. So this is fine. And it's also not being redirected. Okay, this is okay. And then now let's just see. Now I'm just taking a look to see if these pages, like, am I crawling any images in here? And also for me personally, I like to make things very uniform. So I'm going to do this. And yeah, this is just a personal preference. I like to make things so that it's not, so that it looks very, very clean. Okay, so now that is done, next thing that I can do is I can take a look at some of the status codes. So status codes are usually where you can find a lot of opportunities. And this also falls towards like the technical side. So if your Shopify store has a lot of, like when you crawl your site and you notice like a lot of status code in here, usually that means that these are usually the first things that you want to kind of like tackle. So usual live pages, they have 200 status code. So yeah, so a lot of these pages are live, which is fine. But we really want to go down and check out some of the stuff here. So 430 status codes, just now I've already looked at it. It's because server side, the crawl it has a problem crawling the page. It doesn't mean that the page doesn't exist or things like that, but yeah. So I'm not going to look at 430 status code. I'm going to look at starting from 404 first. So 404 pages are pages that are not there already, right? So 404 page that's not there. So if you see a 404 page on your site and it's being reflected here, it means to say somewhere on the website, there is a link linking to this page, okay? And most of the time this happens because when you are updating your content, like 3 months or 6 months or even years down the road, right? You forgot to remove this link that you have placed, previously on one of your pages. And what you really want to do is you want to, make sure that the links that are linking to this page is linking to the correct page now, right? So usually this will show a 301 redirection. Like you will redirect, let's say, for example, this author page, right? You are redirecting this author page to the new, depending on how you guys are setting it up. If let's say the new author page is author without the S and then / the author name, or it can just be maybe the first name, whatever it is, ideally there should be a redirection that is being placed in your setup, in your Shopify setup. Yeah, so in this case, all these are 404. So with 404s, usually, okay, you can just go in and take a look. I usually open some pages up just to see if this is a true 404, right? Because sometimes like with crawlings and things like that, you just want to just do a sense check and double check. Because sometimes when it says 404, when you click on the page, it's actually 200. That means something is wrong with the crawler. That means there's an error someplace. And you just want to double check to see the results that you're getting back, it's accurate, right? So all these are 404 pages. And ideally with 404 pages, what you want to do, it's like I mentioned earlier, you want to direct them to a appropriate live page. And a live page usually has status codes of 200, okay? So, and I'm not going to dive into like what are the different status codes. You can go and find them. Or when you are going through your crawl and you notice some status codes which are not familiar to you, you can just simply Google them like I did just now. Okay, so with 404, I have the crawl here. Okay, so this crawl, and if you have not watched part 1, this is where we crawl the entire page and we save the crawl, so we can just open things up. And I just want to see which pages are linking to this page. So what you do, right, is you basically just copy the address and paste it in. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. Let me make myself a little bit smaller. Yeah, and paste it in here, okay? And then just hit enter, okay? Now this is going to show you, 404, but you want to check out which are the links that is linking to this page. So you can see there are 3 pages, okay? And you can open this page up and there is a page somewhere, there is a link somewhere here that is linking to the author page. Okay, hyperlink. And yeah, you can see the anchor text by. Okay, so there isn't a page. Where is it? Yeah, I think this is the URL here. So it's not clickable, doesn't mean that there's no link here. Okay, so again, so this is also one thing that you want to pay attention to, because you can see like currently it doesn't allow me to click, right? Like I'm clicking on this, but it's not allowing me to click, but it doesn't mean that the link is not there. So one thing that I like to do is I like to just inspect and then just buy. Right, and you can search for the anchor text actually. What was the anchor text? Yeah, just copy this, just paste. Yeah, okay, and where is it? Yeah, this is it. And you can see this is the link here. Okay, and if you scroll, I mean there is, let me see, where is it? Nah, yeah, you can see this is the link here. Okay, and it's not showing up anywhere. Okay, but in actual fact, there's a link here. Okay, and this is the broken link that's existing on this site. Now, sometimes, the link is very easy to find because it will usually have a hyperlink. But in some cases, this is why technical audit is really important, because you'll be able to find things that is naked to the invisible eye if you put it that way. Because if you just look at this, right, you wouldn't find a broken link here because there's no links, right? And if you just look at the source code, there is actually a link, and this is the broken link, right? If you click on this, yeah, this is the broken link. So you can try to find this text depending on where it is. And sometimes it's also on the mobile version. So if you just click over here on the left-hand side, you can toggle the device and then you can just change this to any like mobile device, right? And then sometimes it's because of the mobile version. So I like to refresh this and then just see whether is it somewhere? Yeah, so is this? Yeah, okay. Cool. So I found the link. So the link is here. So apparently what's happening here, and also this is really cool for you guys as well, because all these little details is very difficult for me to put in like a bigger video. And if you would like that, let me know. I can try to find some ways that I can do that. But in this case, like you can only figure out problems like this when you are doing like a tech audit, right? Like when you're actually doing the audit. So you can see the device version for mobile and for desktop is different. And for desktop, we are not able to click on the link, right? Yeah. On desktop, we are not able to click on the link. But on the mobile version, we are able to click on this link. Okay, you can see here, and that's the 404 page. And usually this happens because the mobile version, there's a design for the mobile version and there's a design for a desktop version. And within those design, the code is different. And sometimes that's one of the reasons why this happens, right? So you can see this is happening on the mobile version. So what we want to do is just basically, you can see, right, the desktop version, I'm not able to click on this. Okay, but mobile version I am. So this is happening across, and this is happening across all the mobile version. And this also tells me that for all the links here, okay, it's highly likely, yeah. So it's happening across all these pages, right? And we want to redirect the links on these pages to some other page that it's live, right? Or another appropriate page. Okay, so for example, here we can say fix for 4 pages, okay? And then I can just list down the address. Yeah, I can just list down all the address here, okay? And then I can just status, right? And you can just include in a check mark. Insert, insert a tick box. So once you've fixed the broken pages, right, just check it off, okay? And there's another one, which is, there's another column that I would like to take, which is final URL. Okay, so if you are redirecting it to an appropriate page, this is the appropriate or recommended URL, depending on whether you are doing this for yourself or for other people, right? So recommended URL, okay, and you just basically page. Now, what is the ways of how you can find the recommended URL? Okay, usually you will be able to see the recommended URL from, let's say, for example, the Google Sheet here, okay? And then you can just search for, like, let's say, the author, right? So in this case, I can say author, okay? And say author, okay? It doesn't seem like, yeah. So they do not have a author page anymore, it seems like it, okay? So they have removed it. So usually for this case, right, you can choose to 410. Okay. I don't want to mention anything that might be confusing, because I want to make this as beginner friendly as much as possible, but I think it's a little bit difficult. So if you don't find an appropriate page that you can redirect to, you can do 2 things. What I like to do is 2 things. Number 1, actually 3 things. Number 1, you can create the page. Okay, you can essentially, let's say, for example, create a new page that is for the author. Okay, that means you basically recreate this page again. That's one of the things that you can do. Second thing is you can redirect it to a similar page. So for example, if you have changed this to, let's say, author, okay, this is your new page. You can basically redirect it to, or fix the broken link that is on these pages, okay, and you want to change it to the new URL instead. That's the second. And the third option will be to 410 the page. So for example, you can remove the link, okay, remove the link on these pages, so you don't have to swap out the links. You remove the links, and then for all these, and for this URL, you basically have a 410 status code. Okay, so believe it's a 410 status code. Okay, so this is basically to let Google know that, this page is gone. Like, don't have to bother about this page anymore. Okay, but that ultimately depends on how it's set up. So that's slightly more advanced, but I'm not going to cover it in this video because I think it may be a little bit confusing. But the main thing here is we want to fix all this for 4 pages. Okay, and you want to know also where are the links, right? So for example, this one, okay, you just copy, and over here you can include, okay, depending on how you like to do it. You can, include this tree and then move this tree up to this one, okay, and then that's it. Okay, so everything under here will be under one column. I mean, you can also include in it as notes, or you can just have one empty layer here. You can also include in as notes. So for example, these pages here, you can right click, insert in as notes, and then you just paste all the links here. Okay, it's really up to your preference actually. So yeah, I'm just showing you these 2 methods so that you will know. So basically over here is the same thing. You just go over here and then just paste it in, and you'll be able to find all the pages here that is linking to the with the anchor text. Yeah, and then you just basically do that. So yeah, so I'm not going to do this for all because, just showing you one is enough for time efficiency's sake. So I'm going to go back to the 404 status code. So that's how you tackle 404 status code. So you either redirect them, or you recreate that page that is causing the 404, or what was the last one? You do a 410. And then once you're done with all these, just make sure to check this off. Okay, so that is for 404 status code. And then the next thing that I want to look at is redirections. So redirections are your 301s and 302s. So if you're not sure what is it, again, go and Google them. It's very easy. Just Google 301 status code. But 301 is basically a redirection. It's a permanent redirection. Usually this happens when you have a page and the page is no longer like you updated the page or you change your URL structure and then the whole URL slug. So which means this slug here changes, and this automatically, sometimes on Shopify's backend, they automatically help you to do any kind of redirections from your old page to the new page. And this essentially means that it's a permanent redirect. A 302 redirect is a temporary redirect. So temporary redirect will be like, let's say, for example, if it's temporary. So for example, if this usually happens when there are different versions of the site. So for example, if you land on if this site has US, right? These are the different markets. Okay, you have US, you have UK, you have, I don't know, SG, let's say, for example, right? And for the main site, okay, it's a .com. Okay, and if you go, and the US site is .com/US, for example, and .com/K. This is not the only setup, but this is an example. Okay, so sometimes when you land on the .com, it will show you like, okay, so where you should be going to, right? It will allow you to choose if you want to choose the US market, UK, or SG. And then when you click on US, it temporarily redirects you to the US market, because this is not a permanent redirect. We don't want to permanently redirect. So whenever somebody clicks on .com, they permanently redirect us to the US, because then people visiting on the UK will also be redirected to the US. So that is where a 302 redirect happens, right? It's temporary. So sometimes with technicality, with how your site is set up, 302s may be implemented incorrectly, where it's supposed to be a permanent redirect, but it becomes a 302 redirect depending on like what you find, right? But in premise, that's like a very quick idea of how 301s and 302s are. So I'm gonna go and take a look at 302. So in this case, 302, there's only one page, so not really too much of a concern. And you can see here, this 302 is done correctly, because like, for example, any kind of like accounts and account login and things like that, right? Usually it's a 302, is a temporary direct. And any kind of like geo redirection, like redirecting you to the appropriate language or country. Account logins for utility purposes, usually it is done correctly. So I do not have to worry anything about this. Now let's take a look at 301s. So there's only one 301 redirection. Let's see if we're selecting all the pages here. Okay, so I'm going to do, let me just refresh everything. And then I just want to take a look at 301s. Okay. So 301s, there's only one page. Okay. And some of the times, actually most of the time when we run Shopify site audits, right? Most of the time we find a lot of 301s and 302s errors. But this example only has one. But I'm just going to show you what we'll do anyway. So first thing, usually, again, you just want to double check whether the crawl is accurate, right? So again, go back to whichever tool that you're using. So this is the original URL. Okay, I'm using Ahrefs, this Chrome extension. As long as you have any kind of Chrome extension that allows you to see like the HTTP headers, that's fine. So you can see this is the original URL. It's being redirected to this URL, okay? And so this is a 301 redirect. So what we want to do, right, this redirection is okay. It is done correctly, but ideally we want to have as little as much as possible. And think of it this way. Okay, let me put it in layman terms. How fast can you reach a destination, right? If you took a bus to, let's say, stop A, okay? Stop A, and your destination, this is your destination, right? And you start from B, okay? So the fastest way for you to, the shortest way for you to reach to destination A is straight away from B, you go to A, right? And let's say there's another stop, okay? There is stop C. So if you have a redirection, right? What's going to happen is, this is a starting point. It's going to go to stop C first, and then go to stop A, right? So there's additional stops in between. Okay, I'm not sure if this is the best analogy, but this is what I can think of right now. So what you want to do is you want to eliminate this, okay? So basically, whoever that comes to stop B, they get redirect. They go to stop A immediately, right? Instead of having to go to stop C, figuring out, oh, stop C has been moved to stop A, and then they go to stop A. Okay, so in very short layman terms, that's how it works. So in this case, because there's only one, usually we find a lot when it comes to e-commerce audit, right? We find a lot of 301s that is being done incorrectly, especially if the brands have been around for quite some time. So again, what you want to do is go over to your Screaming Frog and then include in and you just want to see which URLs are linking to these 301s, right? So all these URLs here, okay, and with the anchor text, okay, is linking to this 301. Okay, and we don't want them to take the additional stop. We want them to go to the end stop immediately. And in this case, the end stop is this URL. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to fix 301. Okay, and in this case, this is the only URL. Okay, this is the correct URL, and then the previous URLs are, where is it? This is the old URL. Okay, this is the old URL. Okay, and actually, and depending on how you want to do this, right? So I can put it in such a way that this is the final URL. This is the old URL. Okay, and then these are pages that have old URL. So what you do is you basically copy all of this, paste it in here, and you can also, I mean, for whoever that's going to be implementing this and optimizing this, right? For them to have better reference, you can also include like the anchor text. So when they go in and find the specific area where they need to change the page, they are able to, use the anchor text as a benchmark to find where they need to change it to, right? But for me personally, because I'm working on this myself, I know where to find. Usually I don't include this in, right? So this is the same. Okay, so here we go. And then usually I like to just include in like a status to make sure that we check this off here. Okay, like so. Okay, but in this case, that's how you do kind of like where to change it. And sometimes you see, for example, in this case, they have one link that is linking to 4 URLs that is being redirected, right? So you want to change all the URLs that you find here. And if you cannot find the page, right? Again, just do the method that I did earlier, which is, right click, inspect on the source, see which areas it is. Like, yeah, so you can see this is the area that has broken links. This is it's under their buttons here. So in this case, it's easy to find. Okay, but just do that like I showed you in the earlier example. So that is for 301s. Okay, and if I'm missing anything, let me know, because usually when I'm doing this, it's more, I'm doing it and I'm not explaining at the same time. So I may miss out some stuff. If I do, please let me know. And also if there's any areas that you're not sure of, let me know as well in the comment section. And if you've watched the video till here, and you enjoy what you see and hear so far, just go ahead, give the video a like and subscribe to the channel so that I know that these are the videos that will be helping you guys, and I'll create more videos like this. And if you don't like it, let me know why you don't like it as well, so I can improve, right? I can make the videos better. So that is for all the areas of the status code, okay? And again, 430 status code, these pages are usually fine. It's considered 200 status code because earlier on, like I mentioned, it could be because like Screaming Frog's crawl is being blocked. So now that I've looked at all the status codes, right? Now I just want to look at the live pages, so which is 430 and 200 status code. So these are all the live pages here, okay? And why is my columns? Let me make this shorter. Okay, so now I'm just looking at all this, and you can see there is 500, close to 600 pages. And if you look at this one by one, it's going to take you a lot of time, right? That's why you want to look at things on a bulk basis, and usually it's through pattern recognizing. Okay, so in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at pages that are non-indexable first. Okay, because pages that are non-indexable, I want to see if it's done accurately and if it's done correctly. Okay, so non-indexable means to say that the page has a no index tag on that specific page, on this page, for example. And non-indexable means you're telling Google there's an instruction within the page that tells Google to not put this page on the search engine results page, which is where you see, which is what you see, like for example here. Okay, let's see, collections, all products, open gift card. Okay, so in this case, it's still being indexed, right? But by right, if a page has no index tag on the code, it should be no index. Okay, and sometimes non-indexable also means that the page is non-indexable because it has been canonicalized. So there's two ways of why it's the indexability shows non-indexable. One is being canonicalized. The other one is there's a no index tag on it. Usually that's the case. Okay, but In this case, this is still showing up, and there could be a lot of reasons why this is still showing up here, which I will not dive into. Okay, but just know that indexability, non-indexable means that by right it's not supposed to be showing up on the search engine results page. Okay, so now I want to take a look at why are these pages not indexed. Okay, so let's see. This is canonicalized. So if I go to the page here and I open this page up, this is a 200 indexability, self-canonical. Okay, so this is blog news. Okay, what am I looking at? Okay, I'm a bit confused. Okay, so let's not look at this 430 because this means to say, this error is happening because you can see all of these are 0, right? There's no information here. And the reason why there's no information here, right, is because of the server-side error. That means it could not be an issue with the actual live page. It could be an issue when you're crawling the website. So it's not really an issue per se. I'm going to show you another example here. So for example, this Osborne gift card, this says that it's non-indexable and it's being canonicalized. So let me just take a look at this. Okay, so this is being canonicalized here. Okay, so what is a canonical tag? A canonical tag is basically another instruction to Google to, okay, let me explain this again in layman terms, right? So if you have twins and you want to be able to tell which twin is the bigger brother, for example, or the bigger sister or the bigger sibling, right? This is an instruction to, like, let's say, I don't know if there's a better way, that there must be a better way to explain this, but this is what I can think of right now. But imagine, like, if you have two identical twins, right? They're really, really identical. And the only thing that makes them, differentiates them, it's a mole on the cheek, right? And the one with the mole on the cheek is the elder sibling, and the one that doesn't have it is the younger sibling, right? So canonical tag works in such a way that you're basically telling Google which one is the more important one. Well, that doesn't mean that, when it comes to your bigger sibling shouldn't be the important one, but that's probably a bad example. But you're basically telling Google which page to focus on and ignore it, and which pages to ignore. So for example, if you have product A and product, let's say shoes, for example, and this shoes you have black, white, and all the different colors, right? Essentially what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of pages that most of them have similar content, right? The only difference between these pages will be the color, right? And this, without a canonical tag, Google may confuse all these pages as the same page because they have a lot of similarity, right? Almost 95% of their content is the same. Like their product specifications are the same, their dimensions could probably be the same. The only difference will be the color, right? But if you don't have a canonical tag set up to let Google know which ones is the one that they should be focusing on, ideally this page should either be the category page or it should be the page that you want to rank, okay? Then it's going to be different for Google to understand which page they should be focusing on because all of them are the same. And then if all of them are the same, then they are kind of like competing against each other, which ends up cannibalizing each other for keywords, right? So again, it's a pretty easy to understand concept, but I think I butchered it somehow. But yeah, hopefully that gives you an understanding. So back to here. So this is a canonical tag that is pointing to. So this is the main, so this is the main keyword here. So this is the main page. There is a self-canonical. And then this is for some reason, this page is showing up here. Okay. And this is also very common because you can see this page and this page essentially is the same, right? So unless this page is absolutely required, okay, what I would suggest is deleting this page, okay? Because you already have a product page here and you technically don't need to create pages that you don't require. And that's why, like, with regards to audit, right, you cannot just run a audit, especially if you're doing this for somebody. You cannot just run an audit and then ask them to, let's say, for example, delete this page. Because some of the times it could have some utility behind the reason why they set up this page. So it could be because, they are running like paid ads to this specific page, for example. And if you ask them to delete this page from an SEO perspective, then whatever that they're doing on the other end, let's say, for example, they are running a Google Ads campaign, right, to this specific URL, and you ask them to delete this page and they delete this page, it's going to cause a lot of problem, right? So our recommendation, you should always recommend, right? So my recommendation is to delete this page unless it has some specific requirement that it's needed for this page to be live. Then the canonical will make sense, because what we are doing is we are not asking Google to focus on this page, and we are focusing on this page instead. So my recommendation is to delete pages like this because they are not important. Okay. Again, this is to save lesser pages you have, the more easier it is to also maintain the website as well. Okay. So in this case, this is canonicalized, so which is fine. Osborne gift card, this is canonicalized. So let me go and take a look at where this page is having all these links. Right. So it's under their collections. Let me go and take a look. Okay. This is the page. Collections, all products, collections, all products. What is going on? So this is the link. Am I missing out something? / collections, all products, open gift card. Yeah, so they are, it's linking to themselves. Oh, okay, I get it. Okay, so these are actually the currencies, which is okay. This is fine. Yeah, this is okay, I guess. Let's see, canonicalize, this is okay. Let me go and take a look at some of their behaviors here. Okay, so collections, all products. Okay, and yeah, this is the same behavior as the one that we see earlier on. Okay, so you don't want to have like similar areas. Like this shouldn't be, I mean, this is the exact same page. You shouldn't ideally have two of the same page and then having a canonical, because that is more work for Google to do, right? Instead of coming to this page, crawl the page, analyze this page, and then see the canonical tag that references that this page is the one that they should be focusing on, why not just have this one page? And Google doesn't have to spend all that budget, all that resources to go in and understand all this, right? Unless it's absolutely required. So my recommendation is to delete pages like this. And if it's not required, but if it's required, then we will leave this as it is, because it's absolutely required, right? So in some instances, if this page is absolutely required, if your setup is like this and it's absolutely required, the one thing that you want to do is make sure that the canonical tag is set up properly. And if you see that it's self-referencing canonical, then you may have to look into that, because you don't want to have multiple pages that have the same content, right? So early on, like I showed you, this page versus the one that is being canonicalized to have the exact same content, right? So yeah. So again, sometimes I may recommend it to be deleted, sometimes I may not. And you can see, essentially, you don't have to do this for all the pages, because all of these, you can see their URL slugs, and this is what I mean by pattern recognizing. Because all of this, they have the same URL slugs, they probably have the same issue, right? So, and this is the same collections. So all these are all the collection pages. Yeah. So all these are collection pages. That means all of these under collections will probably have the same issue all the way until here. Okay. So let's do this. And sometimes, like when you see, let me take a sip of coffee first. And sometimes when you see, if there are a lot of URLs, right, you don't have to be really kind of worried, because you can bulk them. And you can see all here, these are the ones that have the same, these are the ones that have the same issues. And then because they have different like countries as well, you can also kind of bulk them. Let's do this. So everything under the collections, it's where they have the same behavior. Products, I don't want to bulk them in first because they may be different. Everything that's under collections. Yeah, so you can see here, collections. All these collection pages have the same issues, if you will. So this one may be a little bit different. Okay, yeah. So those that have 430, right, you can see this is a self-referencing canonical. Right now it's showing non-indexable because of the status code, purely by status code. So this one has no issues. Pages, blah, blah, blah. Products, this is fine. All right. So all those that is marked with yellow, okay, so these are the address that we need to basically and take a look. Because if these pages are not important, right, ideally is to delete or leave it as it is. And one of the things that you want to also pay attention to is how the URL slugs are being set up. Because if you notice that a lot of these pages are being set up like that, right, and you find that that consists of majority of your website, I would consider restructuring the website URLs. Because restructuring the website URL it's easier, not easier per se, but since you're going to be either deleting them, if these URLs are not required, you would take this opportunity to basically restructure your entire site, provided if it's done correctly. Okay, so if you're not sure how to do that, I have a video about site migration. You can go and check that out. But you want to do it properly, especially if your current site already has non-branded organic traffic coming to the site. Okay, If not, then you don't have to pay that much attention because you kind of have free will, you kind of have nothing to lose in a sense. But if your website has non-branded traffic already going to the site and you're considering a redirection, then you have to pay a little bit more attention because this means to say you have something to lose. And if you don't do it well, you're going to lose all that traffic. Okay. So this is done. So now let me go and take a look at the rest of the pages. Okay. So all these variants, right? All these variants are fine. Yeah, all these variants are fine, but they should ideally be canonically to the main one, ENCL product slash aura. Yeah, all these variants are okay because this happens when, when somebody selects a different variant. So this canonical is fine. So that means all the product pages that have variants, I'm okay with them. I'm going to mark here, and we're kind of like doing via the order of elimination here. Yeah. Let's mark all these. So those with variants. Okay. Now this is interesting. Why is this not a canonical? Products / not. Yeah, it's because it's a 430. Yeah. This should be a self-referencing canonical. Yeah. Okay. So this is fine. Don't have to do anything about it. So again, I've already identified these pattern and these are all accurate. So I don't need to take a look at these pages now. So I'm just going to do this pages, variants. And again, I'm doing this by order of elimination, right? So it's easy. And you can also do like, easier way probably to do like a question mark in here. Okay. Like to just search for anything to do that has question mark, I guess. Oh, but it's not reflecting in here. Okay. Weird. Never mind. I can do this like that. Shouldn't take a lot of time. Okay. So you basically want to just highlight everything that has the same variant, right? So in this case, let me just highlight all of this. Variants, and we're done, right? I may miss out a few things here and there because I'm doing this and explaining at the same time. And also because I'm doing it on the fly. So I may miss out some stuff here. But yeah, essentially I don't need to take a look at these pages anymore. So again, I'm just gonna, by order of elimination, only look at white. So I'm left with all these help pages. And again, I just want to see the pattern here. So I don't need to take a look at this because this is the account name, which is fine. And you can also go in and see whether if there are any links pointing to this. But in this case, I'm not going to do that. I'm again trying to look at, so all these are 430 pages. Okay. So with 430 pages early on, like I mentioned, it could be because the crawler has an issue. So I'm not going to go and dive deeper into it because all this will be wrong, kind of like false error. Okay. So these are fine. Okay, so now that's for all the non-indexable pages. Okay, so I'm going to basically clear all the filters out, okay, and remove all the colors, okay, and then you're done with like non-indexable stuff. Then the next thing I want to do is I want to take a look at indexable stuff, okay, and just take a look at what's going on here. Okay, ENCL. And I can sort it out by title. So moving onwards to here, right? This is towards like a little bit of, a little bit of on-page already, which I don't want to cover it here because this is basically like a technical audit. Now, if you want to, you can. Usually what we do next, or what I do next after fixing all this, right? The next phase will be on-page optimization. So you can see on-page optimization, there's a lot of similarity in terms of page titles. And usually duplications is not good. So for example, in this case, right, you can see all these are duplicated page titles. Okay, so ENCL, ENJP pages all have the same page titles. And I generally don't like pages that have the same titles. But in this case, this is fine. Okay, if you do have your Google Analytics connected here, then you will only start to look at pages that have traffic because these are the pages that you want to focus on first, okay? So I'm doing this based off on experience, and based off on experience, I know that pages like this are not going to be the one that generate a lot of traffic. Like the collections are the ones that I want to pay attention to. So in this case, for example, you can see collections, right? This is their backs pages, okay? And this is also their backs pages, but they have the same title, that's first. And also their titles are not optimized, that's second. And their meta description is also not optimized. So I would pay attention to these type of URLs first. So with that being said, right, I think, let me see if I've missed anything else out, okay? And yeah, hopefully that will be able to give you some ideas because the next thing that will happen, it's probably going to be on-page optimization, to be honest, and essentially buffing up the category pages, which is towards like on-page optimization. So with regards to technicality, I'm quite surprised because there's not a lot of things that we found that we need to change, and not a lot of pages that we find that needs to be no index. Yeah. So yeah, that's how you would figure out what things to change, what things to leave it as it is, and things like that. So by the end of whatever that you're doing, right, you should have like a list of things that you need to fix. Go in and fix those. And again, depending on how big your website is, how many products you have, you will generally see like a lot of things that you can fix. And my recommendation is always to fix the pages that, again, you have Google Analytics connected. Fix the pages that has the most traffic first or have the most impact, and then follow them through, right? So yeah, I guess that's about it. It's shorter than I thought. So yeah, let me know if you like videos like this. And trust me, this is what usually technical audits, usually what companies pay for. And the most important thing here is not to just take it and then just know that these are the issues with your website. It doesn't mean anything if you don't go in and implement all these changes. So if you are doing this technical audit for your own site, run through all the technical audits, and then if you are an owner of your own site, then you already have like, you already know like these pages, do they need to be there? If not, can you do without them? Like for example, in this case, right? Is all these pages required? If it's not, then you can, kind of do without them. If it's required, then the canonical tag here is fine. Okay. Then you want to fix all your 301s, you want to fix all your 404 pages. Okay. And if you're working with somebody, again, do not just ask them to delete the pages, because you need to check with them to see if this setup is absolutely required. Most of the time it's not. Most of the time the setup is not required, but then you'll need to talk to their development team and things like that, right? So hopefully that will be able to give you like an idea of what are the most important things I need to fix, because with technical audit, you can actually go in a lot in depth. But realistically, when it comes to tech audit, right, the main things that we fix are, indexability issues, status code errors, and the rest basically falls under on page, like optimizing your page title or increasing the number of word count, right? But I'm not going to cover in this video because it's not part of the tech audit. Yeah. So hopefully you like this video. If you do like this, if you've watched until here, it means to say you must like it, right? So if you do like the video, please help me to subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up on the video so more people are exposed to videos like this. And yeah, that's about it. And remember, chase progress, not perfection. Along the way, you'll be able to find more things that you can optimize. It's not a perfect model as it is. It's always changing, but the premise is still the same. You're looking for status codes, indexability issues, and things like that. All right. So hopefully that helps. That's all. Stay safe. Take care. Until the next video. See you next time. Peace.